All right, shalom, 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 shalom. Before we get into it, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations be unto the Akim, out here pushing this gospel and truth and sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. And we out here another week, right, through the grace and mercy of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and His only beloved begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whose true name is Yahweh Shai. Right, we out here again, right, back at the original spot to continue to preach this gospel, right, this good news, right, and part of that good news, right, is the downfall of our enemy, right, the downfall of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right, who biblically, right, and rightfully are called Israelites, right. Your enemy is going down, and our enemy is the self-proclaimed so-called white man, right, biblically called Esau Edom, right. He is our enemy. He is our arch nemesis, right. The Lord, in every movie, right, that you see, right, there's always a protagonist and an antagonist, right, and the Israelites will be the protagonists, which is the good guys, and Esau Edom, right, the wicked, right, the devil that the Bible speaks of will be the antagonist, which is the bad guys, right. And right now we're seeing an inquisition into the bad guys, right, Esau Edom, right, and all this information is coming out, right, because ultimately Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, right, is revealing this damn devil, man, you know, which again is part of prophecy, right. Let's go ahead and go up and grab this in 2 Thessalonians, right, chapter 2 and verse 3, right. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except the coming of falling away first. And that day is speaking about what? The day of Yahweh Shai's return, right, and the official uplifting, right, and establishing of the Israelite rulership over the entire world for all existence, right, a righteous rulership, right, being established upon the earth, right. And that's that day, right. It says that day shall not come except they're coming the falling away first, which had happened, right, the falling away, where us as Israelites falling away from our maker, falling away from our power, right, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, right, and following in the ways of the heathens, right, and us being punished for it, which we're currently in that punishment. But see, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, right, is allowing for that space of grace and mercy, right, for us to be able to turn back, right, to the law, statutes, commandments that were given unto us, right, by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai through, Moses, right. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except they're coming and falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Again, and we're in this time, right, where inquisition is being made into the ungodly, right. Let me grab that. This is Wisdom of Solomon 1 and verse 9. It says, for inquisition shall be made into the counsels of the ungodly, and the sound of his words shall come unto the Lord for the manifestation of his wicked deeds, right. And again, his wicked deeds, right, Esau Edom, right, who is the wicked, right. Let's go ahead and grab that as well, right. This is Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4. It says, whereas Edom saith, right, and again, this is Esau Edom, right, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, right, but we will return and build the desolate places, right. Him being impoverished is going back to the Renaissance era, right, and prior to that, right, him being in a low estate, right. Every time you see all these older, old medieval movies, you always see what? Esau Edom, and his streets are mud and he's dirty and disgusting, and that's Esau Edom being in that impoverished state. But it says what? We will return and build the desolate places. Where again, the Renaissance, right? The rebirth, right? Which is we're in the result of Esau coming back into power, right? And building up his society. It says what? It says, thus saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai of hosts, They shall build, but I will throw down, right? And this is what ultimately is taking place right now, right? Yahweh Bashim El Shai is destroying this damn devil's empire, if you will, right? From the inside out, right? It says, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh Bashim El Shai hath indignation forever. So, hey, right now, again, right, part of that destruction, right, that the Lord Yahweh Bashim El Shai is bringing upon this damn devil, right, is revealing who he is, right, and the wickedness, right, the wicked deeds that he has ultimately committed, you know, upon the face of the earth, right. You've been having, you know, all these different, you know, EP Steam files, you know, coming out and be revealed, right, all the dirty shit, right, that these damn devils have ultimately been doing is being revealed, right? These damn devils, bro, they're fucking wicked, man, right? Matter of fact, let me grab this, man. You know, this is Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 16. It says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright, right? Esau Edom is profane, right? When you look at these so-called white folks, right, when you go into that word profane, it means outside the temple, right? They're outside, you know, righteousness, man. They're wicked, right? Evil. Well, with the Epstein files ultimately be coming out and all this information, they're eating children, right? They're eating human flesh, right? And you had a video of a gentleman basically sat there and was like, hey, you know, like, you know, what's wrong with eating, you know, babies, right? There's a surplus of babies out here, right? You got these Edomites really speaking like that, man, right? Showing you how wicked and how evil they are, man, you know. And it's not just, you know, it's not just, you know, just the elites that we've been speaking about, right? Because beginning with our elder apostles, right, of Great Millstone on down, where we've been telling y'all that these people are wicked, man. We've been telling y'all that these people are evil, or that these people do all this wicked ass shit, and then they make these different, you know, child sacrifices, and then they eat the fucking, you know, the flesh of those same babies and whatnot, you know, that they sacrifice, man. Right? There's a book called Delectable Negro where they were eating Jake, man. And we've been telling y'all, we've been bringing out all this evidence, and look at what's happening right now, man. Right? And inquisition is being made into the ungodly, man. Right? You when you go into that word inquisition, in the online etymology, it says judicial investigation, right? It says act or process of inquiring, right? It says a searching into, a seeking legal examination, a seeking of grounds for accusation, right? And this is what's happening. All this information that he has been committing is coming out, right? All of these different celebrities, right? These TV personalities, all of these different you got the fucking the crown prince or former crown prince of the UK, right? Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew, right? He's actually been arrested for the shit that he's committed, man. Right? Yahweh Bashim El Shai is starting to fucking punish you fucking devils, revealing who you are and starting to turn on you fucking devils, man. Cause y'all evil, man. You fucking Edomites are fucking evil. Y'all fucking eating babies and shit. Whoa, man, let me grab this, man. You know, in Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter, it speaks about y'all being merciless murderers, you know, of children, right? Wisdom of Solomon 12 and verse 3, it says, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, right? Which those that were there in the Holy Land prior to us coming here, what were the Canaanites, Jebusites, Perizzites, and so on and so forth, right? They were in the land prior, you know, to Yahweh Bashim El Shai, you know, allowing us, you know, to come over out of the wilderness, come into the Holy Land, man. You know, the land of Israel, right? Which Israel is a people, Jerusalem, you know, Jerusalem, right? Israel was a people before it was a place, but nonetheless, right, that was the land that the Yahweh Bashim El Shai ultimately given unto us, man, you know, as an inheritance, you know. So, and again, prior to us coming into that land, right, you had the heathen that were there, you know, And the Lord Yahweh B'Shem El Shai allowed us, right, to ultimately remove those heathens, right? It says, Wisdom of Solomon 12:4, it says, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, man. And these damn devils are ultimately being revealed that they do these things, man. You know, you had it, you know, you in the Epstein files, it ultimately came out that they had a bank account, right, that was, you know, that was named Baal. Right, the bank account name was Baal, right, showing you that they ultimately do, you know, that witchcraft, that they ultimately sacrifice, you know, the false idols and so on and so forth, man. You know, showing you their wickedness, showing you their evil, right? It says, and also those merciless murderers of children, merciless murderers of children, man. I ultimately want to play a piece, if I can, a piece of video that I was listening to, you know, the elder out here, the elder Tazabah, you know, the second in command out here. He ultimately was playing a video. And again, it shows you, right, that they were actually eating, you know, humans, man. You know, babies, right? Stuffing them in fucking goddamn boxes and so on and so forth, man. Right? This is fair use, fair use. I'm just gonna play a minute or two of it, you know, just real quick, nothing long, right? But again, this is right here, you know, just shows you, man. Right? And he's going through the actual, you know, files itself. Let me play this.
You got this video right here.
Look at that.
Right? This is a dude clicking on the file. Now, apparently, in Germany and France, the files are unredacted.
Right.
So that means over there, these people can possibly go into these files and see everything, if that's true.
Right. Look. Going into it. That's the human back right there, man. That's human body, man.
Nigga back right there.
Look at that, man. That's in the actual. That's a look. I don't know if y'all can see it that well. Yeah. You know, that's a human part of a human body, man. Right, showing you that they're ultimately eating these people, man. You know, all this information is coming out, man. You got a whole bunch of, you know, them talking about calling children jerky, you know, and so on and so forth, man. And Yahweh B'Shem El Shai is revealing this damn devil at such an all-time high, man. You know, that they were, you know, in the Epstein files, they're eating children, calling them jerky, right? We've been telling y'all that the so-called white man, starting with the elites on down, that they're fucking evil, they're wicked, right? They're the devil that the Bible speaks of. You know, and see, these same people that want to sit here and call themselves MAGA, this, that, and the third, it was the same fucking goddamn person you voted for. He in there too. His name is mentioned thousands and thousands of times, man. And now they're trying to ultimately get it to where you just, kind of just write it off and look somewhere else. No, man. It's almost impossible to ignore what the hell, what is being exposed right now, man. You go on these different alternative news sites, you know, and it's like almost every fucking headline, you know, is some new information. Let me read a couple. This is on the People's Voice.tv, right? It says Epstein admitted he shipped thousands of children to his island for hungry VIP PDF files, man. Right? It says Epstein files reveal Israel assassinated Princess Diana to protect elite PDF file network. Right? And these are just headlines, man. And then my thing is when you go into these articles, you know, they're giving you quotes and they're giving you screenshots and all this other shit from the Epstein files, man. Right? You can't. Hey, let me grab this, man. Let me grab this, and we'll go back to that Wisdom of Solomon. But this is Luke. This is Luke chapter 12 and verse 2. It says, "For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known." Right? Yahweh B'Shem El Shai is bringing it all about, man. You know, bringing it all out, right? Let's go back to that Wisdom of Solomon 12 and verse 5 again. It says, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh and the feast of blood. Right, there you go. Right, the same shit that was happening, in the ancient times, hey, that shit's happening today. Right, Ecclesiastes 1:9, there's no new thing under the sun, man. Right, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah is revealing this damn devil for who he is. He's a fucking wicked that the Bible speaks of, man. And we're going to continue to blow the trumpet on it, and we're going to continue to tell you people, man. It says, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. And you got these people that are literally raising up children just to sacrifice them. Right, there was a woman that was talking about how she was, basically raised up to be given unto these different, elites and stuff like that, to be their own little, sex slave or whatever you want to call her, man. Being paraded around, 3, 4, all the way to, 9, 10, 11 years old, right? Her entire life was like that, man. Her entire life, right, growing up was like that, And the beautiful part about it, called Law Yahweh Shem El Shah, it's a lot of Edomites are bringing out this information, man. Scriptures talk about that their tongue shall fall upon themselves. And they telling on themselves, man. These Edomites are straight up telling on themselves. But again, it's the spirit of Yahweh Bashim El Shah that's ultimately having them do it. Right? Because again, we're at the end of their rulership, man. We're at the complete and utter end of their rulership. They're going down, right? Yahweh Bashim El Shah is bringing them down. And it's a beautiful sight, man, right? Let me grab this. It's Jeremiah 49 and verse 10. It says, but I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. He's not able to hide himself, man. There's nothing that he can do to sit there and be like, oh no, okay, that was just a AI generated. Oh, that was lies, deception. It's not. All this shit was Esau was trying to hide from the masses, man. Right? Zorro Ranch, right? Which is supposed, which they're claiming to be worse than than Jeffrey E's island, right? They're claiming that to be worse, right? But we understand that they got multiple different islands, multiple different, underground fucking, societies and shit like that, where they're all doing this shit, man. We understand that that's scriptural, man. But it says, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. Remember, everybody, all of these damn devils, man. All of these, again, this is, from here in America to over there in Europe, right? All these Edomites are being exposed for how wicked they are. Every last one of them, man. From the elites all the way down to the regular peon Edomites, man. They're all evil. They're all wicked, man. You got a lot of regular people around here that don't see anything wrong with Trump being in the Epstein files, man. You have a lot of people that are not worried or see anything wrong with Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk being in the Epstein files, man. People don't care. This shit should be an uproar. The same person you people voted for is the same person that's thousands of times mentioned in the Epstein files, man. And nobody's trying to impeach him. Nobody's trying to get him out of the fucking office. People don't care, man. There should be a fucking uproar. But none of you people care. You go about, oh, it ain't me. It ain't happening in my life, so you don't care. You people are okay with it. But that's okay, man. Hey, the Lord Yahweh Bashim El Shah is revealing and is going to destroy all the wicked. Every last one of them. Because of their wickedness that they have ultimately perpetrated upon the earth. Right? From the head all the way down to the foot, man. Wicked ass Edomites, man. And the Lord Yahweh Bashim El Shah is revealing you, man. And this is all part of your downfall. This is all a part of, Esau Edom being taken out of power. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. And this is why we're continue to blow the trumpet on what's going on. Blow the trumpet on all this information coming out. Right? Because we're glad, right? We're rejoicing through the spirit because, again, We're watching the downfall of our enemy. You know? Let me grab this in Sirach, the 25th chapter. And verse 7, it says, there be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th will I utter. So in the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that hath joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Right? We're watching his downfall, man. Right? Esau Edom is being revealed at such an all-time high. It's you know, you can't turn a blind eye to it, man. You know? You can't turn a blind eye to it at all. Let me jump to this right here in 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter. 2nd Ezra 6 and verse 7. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And see, we were inquiring and still are inquiring, you know, of the downfall of this rulership and the beginning, right? And the start of a perpetual, everlasting rulership for the Israelites, man. Because for so long we've been under these damn devils, man. Right? Scriptures call them the most wicked, hateful forsakers of the Most High. This is who is in charge right now, man. This is who is in rulership. Right? When is this going to be? Because again, right, when you look at the state of the people, right? Because the scriptures say in Proverbs 29 and 2, right? When the righteous are in authority, the people will rejoice. Are the people rejoicing right now? No. You're seeing thousands and thousands and thousands of people, you know, videos, right, coming out. The people are talking about, oh, I can't pay my bills. You know, I got, you know, 2 jobs. I still can't pay my, you know, for basic necessities. You know, these people are fucking mourning. And as it says in that same verse, Proverbs 29 and 2, when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And the people are in a state of mourning right now, man. Right? So we've been seeing mourning. We've been seeing wickedness being, you know, spread about the earth as a green bay tree, right? As the scriptures say, you know. We haven't seen righteousness, man. And we're ready to see it, right? We're ready, you know, to see this wicked rulership being brought down forever. Wickedness will no more arise in the earth and have power in the earth anymore, man. After this damn devil goes down 100%, it's over. It's over. The wicked rule is over, right? It's like, let me get some water. You know, we're tired of this shit, man. You know, this shit is played out, you know? Got that Saratoga. Same water the elder apostle, you know, Tahar be drinking, you know. But nonetheless, 2nd Ezra 6 and verse 8, it says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, right? Which is symbolic for that pulling down, right? And how do you and how is that taking place? It's happening by Yahweh Bashim al-Shah putting the spirit upon his men, raising them up, right? To gather this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? To ultimately, you know, seek out and all this information, right? The truth, you know, and to bring it out, right? Which part of that is this damn devil being revealed, man? This is the truth. This is facts, you know, right? And this is how he's being brought down, right? As the Lord said, what he would destroy him with the spirit of his mouth, right? The mouthpiece of the Most High, Yahweh Bashim al-Shah, is what? The prophets, right? Hosea 12 and 10. It says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. That's right, man. You know? So we're seeing him being pulled down through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim al-Shah, which, hey, when you ultimately, let's say, you know, you're in the water, you know, and you really can't swim, and somebody jumps in to try to help you, what usually happens, right? The person who is ultimately struggling, right? When they grab onto that person, what happens? They pull themselves down to lift themselves up, and this is what's going on. Right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim al-Shah, Esau is being brought down, right? Because Esau is drowning. He can't stay afloat out here. With all this information that's coming out, with all this information that's revealing who exactly he is and all the things that he has done, Esau is drowning in this information. He's scrambling. He don't know what to do. It's like a dog being backed into a corner, right? Soon we're gonna see this damn devil just say fuck it, and he gonna come with his NWO, you know? But there's nothing that he can do. He's still drowning, and we're still coming up for air, you know? Esau, you're being brought down through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem El Shai. There's nothing that you can do about it, man. Right? Matter of fact, we'll go to that 2 Thessalonians 2, and we'll jump to verse 7. It says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out the way. Right? And the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem El Shai has allowed you to rule, right, for a long period of time. Right? You got your licks in. Excuse me. You got your licks in. You got, you know what I mean, your time to rule. Right? In July will be 250 years, right, of you ruling. Right? And we understand that the longest rule for any rulership has been 250 years. You know? Empires fall by the 250th year. You know? Or around the 250th year, man. You know? And again, we're seeing Esau being revealed, and we're not even at the actual 250th birthday yet. You know? So imagine what's going to take place in the next few months, man. You know, and how it's going to look. Hey, we at that time, man. You know, but soon Yahweh Ba'Shem El Shai is gonna remove you damn devils from the power seat, man. You know? Completely. Right? It says, and it says, then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem El Shai will consume with the spirit of his mouth, by the prophets, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Right? When Yahweh Shai comes, that's it. That's the ultimate removal right there. When Yahweh Shai comes, and that's it for you damn devils, man. Let's jump to this. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 24. It says, then cometh the end. The end of what? The end of Esau Edom's rulership. Right? And we're already looking at it, right? Job 14 and 5, you gave him bounds that he cannot pass. Hey, when you hit a wall, it's like, you know, when you look at these different car, you know, crash dummies and so on and so forth. And I like to, you know, look at it like that, man. When you hit that wall, what happens? You hit that wall and the you know, the force, you hit the wall and the car starts to back up a little bit, right? Boom! And it backs up a little bit. It don't just boom and then stay there. No, it hits that wall and it starts to back up a little bit. And so you hit your fucking wall and all you're doing is like climbing up a fucking mountain. When you go up the mountain and you hit the peak, there is the only way that you can go. It's down. The Lord gave you bounds that you cannot pass, and you hit that fucking wall, and now you're starting to go back. You climbed all the way up to the top, and now all you can do is go down, and you're going down, right? It says, then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to the Most High, even the Father, right? It's talking about Yahweh Shai doing this, right? It says, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. And who's in rulership, right? Who has power? Who has authority? Right? Esau Edom, Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Right? He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, who and where is he? Right? Roughly paraphrasing, man. You know? Esau Edom, where we already went to Malachi 1 and 4. Right? The Esau Edom is the border of wickedness. Who's in power? Esau Edom. Who's the Edomites? You know? Who's ruling? Right? When you look at Job 9 and 24, you gotta actually, you know, put your emotions to the side. Right? Because if you're emotional, right, you're not gonna be able to get this truth, man. Right? You got to put your emotions to the side. Look at who's in power, right? Who owns all these major businesses, right? When you go to these different, you know, job sites and construction and so on and so forth, who's doing all the work? The Israelites, the so-called Hispanics, so-called blacks, so-called natives. Who's the ruler, in the leadership, the general foremans for the most part, or superintendents, right? Project managers. Or there's mainly so-called white folks, especially of these major companies. You know, it just shows you, man, who's ruling, who all the social media platforms and so on and so forth. Who owns them? A lot of these different websites, these major websites, the porn industry and so on and so forth. Who owns that shit, man? The small hats, right? Small hat just bought TikTok. You know, Elon Musk, Edomite, owns a fucking oh, it's a beautiful word. Owns a fucking X, or formerly known as Twitter. You know? All these so-called white folks, they rule the world, man. And we understand Job 9 and 24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So these so-called white folks, they're wicked, they're evil. You know? They're evil from the fucking head to the toe, man. And we see that. The world cannot dispute that. You can say whatever you want. That does not take away from the truth. Your emotions do not take away from fact. They don't take away from truth. You know? These people walking around, man, they're scoffing and mocking and shit, looking at me like I'm crazy. Hey, but I didn't reveal it. I didn't go on the computer and start revealing all this information. Hey, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua did. And the funny part is he's having you Edomites do that shit to your fucking self, man. You know? Call law, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. Fucking Edomites, man. You're going down. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is bringing you down. And we're happy, we're rejoicing, man, because that means we got next. We got next, man. Hey, the next step is for what? It's for you damn devils to ultimately go ahead and make the RFID micro C-hip mandatory, you know, which we're waiting for. That's the next major step, man. Hey, the RFID micro C-hip is already, you know, it's already been in production. Esau's already, you know, offering it and giving it out to the people, you know, because this is all part of his NWO, right? This is what he's trying to establish before he gets brought fully down, so that way he can set himself up as a perpetual ruler forever, right? He's trying to get that birthright back, right? Through the left-hand side, through this technology, you know? But we understand that the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is not going to allow him to do it, you know? Pursuing to Job 20 and verse 23, it says, when he is about to fill his belly, right? I mean, when he's about to fully establish his NWO. Because see, again, Esau Edom sees what's going on, right? He sees that he's being revealed. He sees that the prophets are out here, right? Spilling the beans on this damn devil, man. You know? Bringing out all this information, showing you people hard evidence, right, of the atrocious acts that he's been committing behind scenes. It's all being revealed, man. You know? Esau sees all of that. So what is he doing? He's trying to speed things up. He's trying to cause distractions. He's trying to say it. But see, nobody is paying attention to his, you know, his attempts anymore. No one's fucking paying attention to that. The scriptures talk about it in Obadiah, right? That the Lord had taken that wisdom away from Esau, man. Is there no more wisdom in Teman? Right? Roughly paraphrasing. You're not able to hide yourself no more, man. You know? Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is bringing you damn devils down. You know? It says, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Right? While you know, are doing it, because again, right, we understand that it's going to look like Esau's going to win, right? It's going to look like Esau's really going to do it, right? That he's going to officially make himself a perpetual rule over the people. But see, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is the author of this story, man. Right? He's the creator of this movie, right? And we understand that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua has given his men, right, the understanding of how this movie ends, you know, or how it ends for him and how it begins for us. Right, because this is like the opening credits for us, man. You know? This is like the backstory. You know? And then we get the victory. And this is what the victory looks like. This is how the story goes for the Israelites, man. Right, but for you damn devils, man, we're at the, you know, you're damn near at the end credits, man. You know? You're at the end credits, man. You know? Yeah, spirit, man. He is as death. He got a fucking Edomite riding around with a fucking skull and bones flag, you know, on his bike, man. There you go. That's the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Them signs, man. He is as death. And see, since thou hast not hated blood shall pursue thee, man. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is going to come after you, damn devils, man. Right? That's Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, the 6th verse. Right? 5th and 6th verse. Right? You're not going to be able to you know, establish your NWO, man. Right? Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is going to cut it short. You know? And it's going to happen, what? Via those ICBM nuclear missiles, man. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is going to rain it upon you while you're eating. Right? As it says right here, verse 24, Job 20 and 24. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It says, it is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors upon him. That's right, man. You know, those ICBM nuclear missiles are going to be used on you damn devils, man. Right, and that's it, right? And that's going to be simultaneously, right, as Yahushua cracks the sky, right? Because you got the Valley of Yehoshaphat, right, taking place as well. These nations being gathered over there. You got America sending their destroyers and their aircraft carriers over to the Middle East, right, to fight against Iran, you know? And Iran, you know, ultimately mobilizing the IRGC, right, which is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, I can't remember what the C stands for, right? But over there in Lebanon, right? Training and arming the Hezbollah, you know, to fight against Israel, fight against America, right? Getting these different so-called Muslim nations together, right, to fight against America and Israel, man. You know, which is World War III, right? Because it says that what? That the least of the flock shall draw them out, right? Least of the flock being the small hats, man. You know, you got the small hats, the big noses over there in the land of Israel, and then you got them over here, right, in the American government, right, starting with Trump and his cabinet being all small hats, man. You know, they came out on live TV, you know, national TV, Trump admitting that he is a small hat, man. You know, and they drawing out this Third World War, right? You got the fucking Iran is a major ally to Russia, right? A major ally to Russia, which Russia is going to be acting, according to Ezekiel the 38th chapter, is going to be a guard unto these nations, man, right? So the more that, you know, the United States and Israel ultimately pick on these, you know, these different nations, right? You're gonna have you know, Russia come to their aid, man. You know, and see, this is all what's taking place, right? Jeremiah the 50th chapter, right? The assembly of great nations, right? Coming from the north country, that north country being Russia, and the assembly of great nations being Russia and Russia's allies, China, their allies, right? Even America's allies are starting to turn against America, man. You know, and straight up come against America. You're gonna have a whole conglomeration of nations that are going to ultimately shoot their nuclear missiles at America and destroy this fucking place, man. And this is what we're waiting for, right? World War III, where America ultimately gets completely obliterated, right? As you read in Amos the 9th chapter, in the 8th verse, it says what? It says, behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom. America's that sinful kingdom, man. A man could be a woman could be a man. You got parents allowing their children to become different genders. That shit's wicked. That's evil. That's not according to the Bible, but yet these same people that are allowing this to happen say they believe in God. Which is bullshit, man. You know? They're just fucking straight up pretenders. They're cultural Christians, man. You know? They're not actual believers, you know? But this is allowed here. Moism, right? Bestiality, right? The murder and the sacrifice, you know, and the raping of children. This shit is all allowed here, right? It says, behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord, right? Because here in America, right, when America ultimately gets destroyed, right, by those ICBM nuclear missiles, again, simultaneously, right, as those nuclear missiles are going to be shut off, Yahushua is going to command the angels to gather the elect from the four corners of the earth, and majority of that deliverance is going to happen here in America, where the majority of the elect are, right? 1/3 of the Israelites here in America are going to be delivered in those chariots, man. You know? And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful sight, man. You know, the same ones that are, you know, which Lord will, you know, I myself, you know, my family, right, my brothers, starting with the elder apostles on down, we can all be a part of that, the elect, because we're seeing and watching the downfall of our enemy, right, internally, right, but soon, externally, right, this place is going to be destroyed and Esau is going to be taken out of power completely, right? Once World War III happens and those missiles get shot off, Yahushua gathers the elect, that's it, right? Because as soon as that crowning ceremony is done, hey, what's going to happen? Right? What is going to happen? The elect are going to come down and put all you heathens into captivity. Right? Pursuing to Psalms 149. And we'll start at verse 5. The whole chapter is fire. But we'll start at verse 5. Matter of fact, we'll start at the top. Psalms 149, verse 1. Praise ye Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai. Sing unto Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai a new song. Right? And that new song is this truth, man. This wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Right? It says, in his praise in the congregation of saints. Psalms 148, right, verse 14, tells you he also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel. A people near unto him, praise ye Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai. So it's talking about the Israelites, right? It's praising their power, Yahweh, right? And Yahweh Shai, right? It says, let Israel rejoice in him that made him, right? Again, Israel. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Right? What does it say? He said he had brought down the proud princes and set up the meek in their stead. Right? And this is happening and taking place, man. Where Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai is bringing down those that proud nation. Right? Being Esau, Edom. Right? The number one proud. Where the heathens are proud as well. You know? But Esau, Edom is the number one proud nation. Right? It says, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand. And that's soon that's going to be a literal. Right now, it's spiritual. Right? Our sword being this word. Right? But soon we're going to have a physical sword in our hands and cutting you fucking damn devils, man, in half, in pieces. Right? Like you did us. You know? Said we're going to do it in righteousness, man. Right? It says, verse 7 being the point, right? To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, right? Being put in captivity, right? Their kings and the nobles, starting with the elites, right? The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, right? The Gates, the Bezos, the upper elites, the lower elites, right? All you higher up officials and so on and so forth that are able to pay for, you know, being able to escape America and go into these different bunkers and hide and shit like that. No, you're not going to be able to hide. You're not going to be able to hide. You know? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to try to hide, you know, from, you know, captivity, right? Let's go to Amos. Right? It's Amos 1 or Amos 9 and verse 1. It says, I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them. And I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away. Right? So though you flee away from the destruction that these ICBM nuclear missiles are going to bring, you're not going to escape judgment, right? It says, he that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. Though they dig into hell, right? All these different bunkers and stuff like that, right? Then shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Right? Though you get into these, the ISS, International Space Stations, you fly up into these different, you know, that hover in the orbit and whatnot, the Lord's going to bring you down. And it's beautiful birds, man. Orange and blues and stuff like that, being beautiful. Right? It says, and though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, right, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from the sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. You're not going to be able to escape this judgment, man. Right? Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai is going to allow us to get hands on you damn devils, man. Right? This is Ezekiel 25. And starting at verse 12, it says, thus saith the Lord God, Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and hath greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Right? Scriptures say that you have forwarded the affliction. Right? Zechariah 1 and 15. You did more than you were fucking supposed to, man. Most of these bodies that I showed you, most of them bodies that they're eating and cooking up and you know, the children that they're snatching up, they're Israelite children. Right? There was when I went, you know, before I came to Arizona, I used to live in Georgia, and you know, for a year, and down there I learned a lot about, because you know, when the place that I was at, which I'm not going to name the city, but the place that I was at, you know, they still had those black and white doors, black and white fountains and stuff like that in the city center. You know, very small town, man, very small town, you know. But over there, you know, like you listen to the old folks talk and whatnot, and you listen to the history, you start looking things up, which at the time I wasn't into all that, you know, as much as I am now, you know, but I did learn a few things back then, man. A lot of the time you had a lot of these older folks, they would go around, you know, back in, you know, the 30s, 40s, 50s, you know, 60s, so on and so forth, right? Those people, they would walk around and they would see a little so-called black child and they would rub his head because they believed, right, that rubbing a so-called black child's head, right, ultimately gave them, you know, their powers, right, their health and you know, their ability and stuff like that. And the same thing Esau would do. They would sit there and they would eat us, thinking that they're going to absorb our life, if you will. That's part of that witchcraft, man. Odious works of witchcraft and sacrifices. This is what these devils truly, that's how they operate, man. You know? And again, who are they coming after? The Israelites, man. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know, you got books on it, man, of and they got recipes in those books and so on and so forth, man. You know? You devils are fucking evil, man. And see, this is what you got coming. This is part of your judgment. You know? It says, Ezekiel 25 verse 13, it says, therefore, thus saith the Lord God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, right? And will cut off man and beast from it, and will make it desolate from Teman, and they of the Don shall fall by the sword, right? Being destroyed. Those ICBM nuclear missiles being set off, right? It says, verse 14, it says, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. So the Lord is going to endow us with spiritual power to come up against you damn devils, man. You know? It says what? Though you dig into hell, thence will my hand come and get you. Right? Roughly paraphrasing, we read it in Amos the 9th chapter. You know? By the hand of the Lord, of the Israelites, man. You know? It says, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So when we take vengeance, right, upon you heathens, right, let's go back to that Psalms, right, now read the last few verses again. Psalms 149 and verse 7, it says to execute vengeance upon the heathen, right? The Lord is going to put his spirit upon us, right? When that smoke clears, when the crowning ceremony, right, the marriage supper of the Lamb is ultimately fulfilled, right? And the men get their crown and get their, you know, the glorification after Yahushua gets his first, you know? And what's going to happen? The Lord's going to put his spirit upon us, and we're going to put you damn devils in the fucking chains, man. And see, the difference is you're going to be under the captivity of those who have spiritual power, right? What does the scripture say in Revelations, the 2nd chapter? Revelations 2 and verse 26, verse 25, it says, but that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. Talking about our faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? Those who overcome, right? Those who hold on to it to the end. It says right here, verse 26, he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, man. We're literally going to be endowed with spiritual power, right? It says, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken into shivers, even as I received of my Father, right? We're going to get literal power, right? But we're going to have authority over you heathens, man, right? It says, Psalm 149 verse 7, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints, praise ye Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So we're gonna put you damn devils into captivity, man. Right? For all the wickedness and evil that you have ultimately done and committed in the earth, you're gonna pay for it. You know, and we're gonna be the ones to ultimately make you pay, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, man. Just like you over here, all this shit that's coming out, all this shit that you did was to the Israelites, man. It was to the Israelites. You damn devils gotta go, man. You know, and hey, man, hey, when you down there, you know, in your bunker and You know, you're down there, you know, chilling, right? Because you see a lot of these different movies, man. You know, like the movie Silo and the movies Fallout, and there's another one that just came out. It was actually a foreign movie, right? They were, you know, I think it was actually might have been like a Russian movie or something like that, man. Where they ultimately were fleeing into a bunker as well, and the shit was nice, man. Shit was extremely fucking nice. They got the bracelets. I can't remember what the movie was called, man. A little while I'll do a movie on, or a lesson on it, you know, a show on it, you know. But it just shows you, right, what Esau Edom is trying to do. He's trying to hide himself, right? He's trying to hide from the destruction that's coming. But hey, when you're down there, kick your feet up, man. Chill out, man. Relax, right? Because what's gonna happen is, hey, once that crowning ceremony is done, the Lord's gonna allow us Israelites. You know, he's going to endow us with spiritual power. And guess what? When you watching your TV, you're going to see a little man off in the corner, man, that ain't supposed to be there. You've seen that movie 1,000 times. You ain't never seen this. Well, guess what? That's an Israelite. And he's going to be walking towards you. And as he gets closer and closer, he's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And soon we going to walk out that TV. And I'm just, you know, I'm just speculating, right? Scripture say meditate terror, right? We meditate terror, man, constantly. Brothers, just think about this, man. You know? You're going to see a man on your TV, you're like, I ain't never seen that before. And you're gonna walking in closer and bigger and bigger and bigger until he jumps out your TV, and now it's a full-fledged Israelite, 8-10 feet tall, you know, you know, coming and dragging you out your bunker, man, flowing all the way, flying right through the ground, coming out and putting you in fucking chains, man. You know, putting you straight up fucking chains, because that's where you're gonna go, man. And guess what? You're gonna build up our kingdom, man. You know, you're going to build up our kingdom. Let me grab this, man. In Isaiah the 60th chapter, right? It's a beautiful chapter. This is what it's going to be like for us, man. You know, Esau and his kingdom, man. Scriptures talk about that he had more than his heart can wish. You know, he fared sumptuously, and Esau, you know, Esau, you know, he got it. You know, we ain't mad. You know, what does it say in the Lamentations, the 4th chapter, verse 21? It says, "Rejoice and be glad, O daughters of Edom," man. Rejoice, kick it. You know, do your thing, man. You know, do your thing, right? Don't worry about, you know, what's going on. I mean, you should, because it's, you know, the end of your fucking rulership, you know. But at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about it, you know. So, hey, kick it, you know, continue to do, you know, your little witchcraft and whatnot. It's not going to work, you know. Not that I condone you doing it, but that's what you're going to do, you know. Go ahead, do your thing, man. Because soon we gonna fucking put you damn devils in captivity, man. And everything that we do to you is gonna be in righteousness. It's not gonna be in wickedness. We're not gonna do no buck breaking, right? Which is mo shit, right? Man, you know, ultimately popping another man. That shit will never happen in the kingdom to come. Never. It will never happen in the kingdom to come. A man sleeping with another man's adultery will never happen in the kingdom to come. Wickedness in general will never happen in the kingdom to come. Right? But this is Isaiah 60. And I'll start at verse 8. It says, "Who are these that fly as a cloud and as the doves to their windows?" And you're going to see Israelites flying, man. You're going to have chariots, right? Flying around. You're going to have Israelites with spiritual power flying around. You know, it's going to be fucking beautiful, right? It says, "Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, thy power, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee," right? Part of that glory is receiving that spiritual power, right? Being put into these immortal bodies. Right, because the scriptures talk about that our body shall be fashioned like unto his body. Right, when Yahushua comes, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, when he comes, he said, "I shall not meet thee as a man." He gonna look like a man, but he's gonna come in that spiritual power, right? The angelic force. You know, it's not gonna be like what you see here. These average people in this wicked, evil flesh, man. Right, because these are bodies which are subject unto sin. These bodies are gonna be shed. And we're going to be putting on those celestial bodies, man. You know, those new bodies. You read in 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. You know? It's going to be completely different, man. You know, we're going to be able to fly into outer space and not need no fucking space suit. We're going to be able to fly and, you know, go into the depths of the ocean and explore the entire ocean and not need a breathing apparatus, man. All of these different superheroes that you see, all of them in one, and that's going to be each individual Israelite, man. Right? Yahweh Shai said, right, these powers ye shall do and greater. Right? All these works ye shall do and greater. And there's been many things that Yahweh Shai did that were never written in the scriptures, man. You know? Imagine what Yahweh Shai did, man. The powers that Yahweh Shai showed the disciples, the apostles. You know? It says, Isaiah 60 and verse 10, it says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. When you go into that word minister, right? Let's grab that word minister. Right? Minister. Minister, right? It says, it says a servant, right? From the old French ministre, a servant, valet, member of a household staff, administrator, right? Inferior, servant, right? Assistant, less. Right? It says one who renders official service to the crown. I mean, you're going to be a servant. You're going to be serving us, right? Your sons, right? And you and your sons and their sons, and so on and so forth. Right? For the rest of your existence. And for you Edomites, it's not going to be long. Right? Because when you get put into captivity, you're going to be in captivity for 1,000 years. After the 1,000 years, it's going to be Edomite bonfire. You Edomites are going to be destroyed as a nation. Psalms the 52nd chapter. Go and read it. You know? But I'll continue on. Isaiah 60 and verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. Right? It says, and their kings shall minister unto thee, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. That's right. And we're seeing that mercy from the Lord now. You know? And soon the ultimate form of mercy is going to come to where we're being put in power. Being in rulership forever. Right? It says, therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that man may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. Right? And the forces is going into these different, you know, resources and you know, the stones and metals, gold, silver, so on and so forth. All these different resources that Esau is currently out here in the world trying to gather up, right, is going to be given unto us. He's going to have to cough them up. All of that. All of those different resources, man. What is that in, it's like a Job 12. Let me see. Let me see if I can grab it. Vomit. And yeah, Job 20 verse 15. It says, he hath swallowed down riches. Right, it's talking about the wicked, right? It says he hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly. Right? It says, dropping down to verse 18, it says, that which he labored for shall he restore, and he shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, he shall not rejoice therein. So everything that you don't labor to grab and steal and all this other shit, because everything that he has gotten, right, he has done through trafficking. Right? And going into Ezekiel the 28th chapter, talking about Tyrus. Right? America has ultimately stolen every fucking thing. Esau has stolen everything, and you're gonna have to give it up. You're gonna give it. It's all. Scripture say that all things are made for the elect's sake, man. So everything that you have is for us. It ain't for you. You fucking damn devils. You know. It says Isaiah 60 verse 12. It says, for the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Go ahead and try to fight back, man. You're gonna be fighting against men that have spiritual power, that live forever, that cannot die. Yeah, all right. Verse 13, the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. Right? All the precious woods, the precious metals, the precious stones, we're all going to use it, right, to build up our kingdom. Right? We're gonna ultimately, put you heathens in continual employment, as you read in Ezekiel the 39th chapter, right? To serve us, man, and build up our kingdom. And it's gonna be the way we want it. And it's gonna be 100, 1,000,000, and 1,000,000,000 times better than your fucking wicked ass rulership that we see here now. Right? It says, verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet. And they shall call thee the city of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. The Zion goes back to what? That word to Zion in the Hebrew, which means monument. Right? A monument. You got these so-called 7 wonders of the world, right? These monuments, right? And people awe at them. They gawk at them. Right? People are amazed at them. Hey, well, guess what? We're going to be the ultimate monument. The ultimate monument. People are going to look at us and they're going to say our names in hushed tones. People are going to be looking at us forever like that. And it says in Psalms 126, it says the heathen have said about thee, right, that the Lord had done great things for them. Right? You people are going to look at us and be like, whoa, yeah, that's how we're going to be, man. Lord, will we be of the elect? Really, all Israel is going to be like that. Even the wicked that die on this side, right, they get born through the loins of the elect in the kingdom to come. Even they're going to be like that, man. All Israel is going to be righteous. All Israel is going to be on top. All Israel is going to be glorified, man. Right? Starting with the elect. Right? And eventually, right, as the 2/3 get born back into the kingdom, they're going to be like that as well. Right? Verse 15, it says, whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations, man. We're no longer going to be niggas, spicks, wetbacks, redskins, thugs, gangsters, right? We're no longer going to be in the barrios, the reservations, the ghettos, the hoods. We ain't going to be none of that shit no more, man. We're going to inhabit the best of the best. It says, thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and thou shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob, right? Which ultimately going into, again, right, ultimately receiving all those different resources and benefits and so on and so forth that they ultimately stole, right? They're going to give it back, right? It says, for brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood, brass, and for stones, iron, I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness, man. Meaning all the different stones and metals and stuff like that, we're going to have an extreme abundance. Extreme abundance. Scriptures talk about exceeding precious promises, man. Exceeding. Meaning it's going to far surpass our thought or standard. Way past it. Right? But it says, I will make thy officers peace and thine exactors righteousness. Meaning everything that we do is going to be in righteousness, man. All the punishments that we execute upon the heathens are going to be in righteousness. We understand that Esau is going to be destroyed after 1,000 years, but the rest of you heathens, Ishmaelites, Hamites, Moabites, Ammonites, Cushites, so on and so forth, y'all all are going to be perpetual, forever tributaries unto the Israelites, man. Forever. That's the position that you were created for. It says, the violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise, which is cut, because over there in the land, if they were truly the people, there would be no violence. Right? They would rule and have authority, but see, that's not true. That's not true, man. They're not the people, man. They would absolutely rule, but they're not. They're committing wickedness, and now you got the heathens coming against them, man. That would never happen in the kingdom, man. That will never happen in the kingdom. Right? It says the sun shall no more light. It's like, yeah. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall be an everlasting light, and thy power thy glory. The sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, right? Which is ultimately that sun and that moon is symbolic for this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? Our heritage, right? Our identity, right? meaning it will never be taken away from us ever again, right? You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that's not our names. We're not black. Where's the nation of black, right? Where's the nation of black? You got a man named Amerigo Vespucci that conquered America. You got a man named Leo Sapaio Africanus that conquered Africa and named it after themselves. So you calling yourself an African American, you're calling yourself a descendant of 2 white men. We're not African Americans. We're not colored. We're not black. We're Israelites, right? Our biblical nationality, our true nationality, are Israelites, man. And that was taken away from us. See, now that we know who we are, it will never be taken away from us ever again. Ever again. Right? It says, but Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy power, thy glory. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. Right? We're never going to be on bottom again. Our loved ones being taken away from us. Right? Being mistreated at school, being mistreated at work, right? Being mistreated just out in general. No, we're going to be on top forever. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans were meant to be on top forever. We were meant to rule forever. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and His only beloved begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? Whose true name is Yahweh Shai, right? Is for us. It's not for everybody else. He don't love everybody else either, prior to contrary belief or popular belief. You know? It says, verse 21, Isaiah 60, verse 21, thy people also shall be all righteous, right? All the Israelites, right? They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, will hasten in His time. And hey, man, we can't wait. You know, which is figure of speech. Obviously, you know, we're going to continue to wait, you know, upon Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, till He, you know, rise up to pray. Hey, but hey, you know, we're waiting, man. We're anxious, man. You know, we've seen wickedness, man. We haven't seen righteousness, man. You know. And soon it's going to be established. We're watching the downfall of our enemy, which is a beautiful thing, man. Call Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. You know? We got next, man. We got next. Thus saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So with that, Lord wills, edifying. Lord wills, straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak Kodash. Double honors again to the elder apostles, the elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto your elect scattered abroad. Till next time, Shalom.